we're going to read. So this is a real letter written by Pam, okay, to Mummy and Daddy in May 1942. So think about where along we are in terms of the war on our timeline. Beginning of 1942. We're quite a way in, aren't we? May 1942. I think that's the one that's fallen down. There. That's when the bombing started. The Luftwaffe begins bombing Exeter, Bath, amongst others. So, this letter has been typed. So we've typed it up, but it was without changes. So anything that was in the letter has been typed up exactly how the letter was, rather than making it sound correct or changing spellings and things like that. Okay. So I think there's actually a couple of bits, possibly where they're crossed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's because that's what it looked like in there, in the original one. So it's to make it more legible. Legible means so we can read it. Okay. So the original handwriting was obviously a bit illegible. So it's from Thorn Farm, Bridford, near Exeter, on the 4th of May, 1942. Dear Mummy and Daddy, we had a terrible raid on Exeter this morning. The warning sounded at 1:45 a.m. We got up and went downstairs. Soon the planes were over and bombs were dropped. Jean and I dived under the dining room table. Then Mrs. Every went upstairs and shouted, or rather screamed, that the house was on fire. We all went upstairs and Jean and I took turns pumping the stirrup pump, and the water was coming out the top, and Jean and I got soaked as we only had a night dress, bed jacket, dressing gown and raincoat on. While we were pumping, Jerry dropped 8 cheese and it blew Jean onto the floor in the pool of water the stirrup pump had made. Then I went into the bedroom and just got the things which were on the chair by my bed and went downstairs and stood in the passage leading to the kitchen. And Jean and I were awfully cold as we had wet things on and the windows had been blown out. Then the roof fell in and the 8 cheese still dropping near us, and when it had quietened down again, we went out the back down and gate, and I went across to the children's home where they were bringing in patients from the city hospital. Then we went to number 9 in the Crescent, and then we were lent clothes. We stayed there until about 7:45, and then we came out to the farm, which is 10 miles away from Exeter. We've hardly got any clothes left. I have lost my new hat and coat, also my glasses in the fire. All I have is a pair of shoes, also slippers, stockings, 1 pair of knickers, 2 bodices, 2 vests, 1 nightdress, 1 bed jacket, 1 school blouse, 1 dressing gown and a raincoat. That's all I've got. Mrs. Every said, will you please wire or write as soon as possible to let me know what train you would like me to catch, also which day. Don't come down to fetch me because you couldn't sleep here at the farm. It was absolutely a nightmare as we were having dive bombing. Mrs. Every hasn't a stick left of her house except 2 pictures. The house is absolutely gutted. Nothing left of the house except the 4 walls. Hope you are all well. See you soon. Love, Pam. Any questions about anything you didn't understand or any vocabulary?
What are HEs?
They are bombs. It's a type of bomb.
Bodices.
Bodices. A type of underwear, I think, for girls. Anything else? No. Bed jacket, dressing gown.
What is a blouse?
A blouse is like a female version of a shirt. Okay, you would say girls wear blouses, boys wear shirts. They tend to have like rounder collars and different buttons, and they button up different. So yeah, it's just you probably wear blouses, but you don't call them blouses anymore. They're a bit more unisex now, aren't they? Okay, so quick fire questions. Why was Jean soaking wet? Why was she soaking wet?
Because of the water pumping.
Yes, the stirrup pump. Stirrup pump. I'm not quite sure what a stirrup pump is. A stirrup, if you go horse riding, is the bit you put your foot in, isn't it? So maybe it's something you put your foot on and pump like that, maybe. Yes, so they'd got wet from that, hadn't they? Why couldn't her parents come and fetch her?
Because they couldn't sleep on the farm.
They couldn't sleep at the farm. Doesn't sound there's enough room at the farm, does it, for them to sleep? I'm not quite sure whose farm they're at. Was it clear whose farm she was at? No, then we came out to the farm. Who do you think Mrs. Every is? Who is Mrs. Every?
Maybe their teacher or the person that looks after them.
Yeah, probably not a teacher because I don't think they'll be living. They're obviously living with this Mrs. Every, aren't they? Because it was night time when the bomb went off. Okay. So obviously, why is Pam there? Why is she's with Mrs. Every? Why she's remembering?
She got evacuated?
Possibly, but they're in Exeter. Would she have got evacuated to Exeter? That's what I thought originally, but did we not just read up there? I mean, I know that was September in 1942, and this was May, but that's we just read, the Luftwaffe bombing Exeter, Bath, amongst others. So Exeter's quite a big city, isn't it? So would they be evacuated to there? But it sounds like she is evacuated. She's not living with her mum and dad, is she? So maybe she's evacuated there, ready to go to somewhere else. Okay, so in front of, oh, hang on. So, this is a letter written to Pam, to her parents. But actually, it's very factual, isn't it? Pam's not really telling me how she felt. I think there was one phrase, it was absolutely a nightmare. Everything else is very factual, isn't it? This happened, then this happened, then this happened. The warning sounded, we went upstairs, we pumped in the water. I think if we were writing that letter, we would maybe say how we were feeling a bit more to our parents, wouldn't we? Why do you think Pam might not be saying how she was feeling?
Because she didn't want them to worry.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right, actually. She kind of wanted to let them know she was okay and let them know what had happened. But by taking all her emotion out, because she's obviously not with her mum and dad, and her mum and dad are obviously going to be very, very worried about her, aren't they? And where she is. So actually, by taking the emotion out of it, she's just giving them the facts and letting them know, actually, she's okay, can they come and get her? So we're going to do 2 jobs, and one job we're going to do in a minute. We're going to do the first job with a bit on film first. So one job in a minute is we're going to compile a list of facts from the letter that Pam's told us, okay? But what we're going to do here quickly first is you have got the emotion cards from our PWP packs, okay? And Seesaw, they've got them on Seesaw as well. You're going to look through the emotion cards and pick out words you think link to how Pam is feeling. It says at identified points in the text. So let's have a think what points we should think about how she's feeling. So I think the first point we need to think about where she's feeling is actually the warning sounded at 1:45 a.m. How do you think she was feeling? I wonder if you can use your emotion card. Can you pick an emotion card from in front of you to tell me how you think she was feeling at 1:45 a.m. when the warning first sounded? What have you picked?
Astonished.
Astonished, okay. What have you picked?
Disheartened.
Disheartened.
Heartbroken.
Heartbroken.
Flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted. There's some interesting words here. If you didn't pick a PWP word, what word would you put? What word did you say if I didn't say pick one from PWP?
Oh, it is a PWP.
Oh, is it? What one have you found then?
Startled.
Startled, that's a good one. Because I think it's quite a bad feeling, isn't it? The warning goes off, and some of your words aren't quite perhaps as bad. Think of that shadeometer. You know, we talked about earlier about cross and being furious, the difference in them. So that warning, that air raid sign's gone off. And not to the point where they actually could get out of the house. So the house is actually being bombed with them in it. So I think startled might be a bit of an understatement. Yeah. Terrified.
Alarmed.
Alarmed. Yeah, what have you got?
Flustered.
Flustered, definitely would be a bit flustered, wouldn't you? Right, let's think a bit more. Soon the planes were over and the bombs were dropped. Jean and I dived under the dining room table. What about them when they're diving under the dining room table? What do you think?
Probably a bit.
Tell me what you think and then worry about the PWP card. What would you, how would you say she felt?
Petrified.
Petrified. I think there are, yeah, lots of words like petrified, but they're not on your cards, are they?
Yeah.
So now's the time to think about actually what word could I use instead of petrified. Let's move on to the next point. So the next point is going to be, they've gone upstairs and they're pumping, so on the second paragraph, and it blew Jean onto the HE bomb was dropped and it blew Jean onto the floor. So the bomb's actually been dropped so much that it's blown her friend over. What do you think for that one?
I think she might be feeling a little bit anxious.
I think anxious is actually a really good one, isn't it? Very anxious for that.
Stunned.
Startled.
Stunned.
Stunned. That's a good one, actually, stunned. And actually, probably Jean was quite stunned because it took her off her feet. So physically, she was stunned, but also probably emotionally, she was a bit like, "What? Oh my goodness, what's happening?" kind of thing. Bit stunned. Okay then, let's think moving down, because a lot of those are going to be very similar emotions, aren't they, when it was all happening. I mean, she might almost have felt a bit calm while it was happening, because actually sometimes when something really bad happens, you almost just go with it, don't you? And then it's afterwards that sort of all the emotions hit you sometimes. So, when it had quietened down again, we went out the back, down and the gate, and I went to the children's home where they're bringing in patients. How do you think she's feeling now? So it's quietened down, and she's now leaving the house, and she's having to go to the children's home where they're bringing in patients from the city hospital. So it sounds like the city hospital's been bombed, doesn't it? So they're bringing patients into this home. What kind of emotion do you think she's feeling now? She's still really up here, or do you think is there something else now coming in?
I think there's something else now coming in.
What kind of thing? Have a look and then I'll come back to you, yeah? What do you think?
I think she's feeling glum.
Yeah, glum?
Maybe.
Have a look. What's that one? I can't see that one. Put your fingers over it. Wistful, maybe? Tell me the definition of that.
Longing or nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Like the sad feeling you get when you look back on good memories.
So actually, I would have initially gone wistful. That doesn't really sound like, but actually, when you look at the definition of wistful, that is almost what it was. Actually, a bit glum, bit down, a bit longing for how things were. What one have you got? You two have got the same. Deflated, I think so. Almost a bit of a feeling that all this drama's happened. What did you pick?
Distracted.
Maybe a bit distracted because actually there's probably a lot of devastation going on around her. So even though she's having to walk out the back into, she needs to be quite concentrated on where she's going. Actually, there's so many things going on. You wouldn't know where to look, would you? What was that thing? Was it Eyes on Matchsticks with Cliff?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a bit like that, wouldn't you? Your eyes, when you're so wide-eyed because of what's happened around them. Right, let's move down. So it says, then we went to the number 9 and then we were left to close. We stayed there till about 7:45 and then we came out to the farm, which is 10 miles from Exeter. So now it's all happened. All the big dramas happened. All the bombs, really, really scary. Then they went and got some clothes and stayed. So now it's almost the next day. So she's probably had a bit of a sleep if she could. And now she's at this farmhouse. And this is when she's writing to her mum about coming to pick her up. How do you think she's feeling now?
I'm scared if it will happen again.
Why do you think she's happy? It's not wrong, I think you're right. Why do you think she might be feeling a bit happy?
Because she's safe?
Yeah, she's alive. They survived, didn't they? Her, Mrs. Every and Jean are all alive. There must be a feeling of, maybe it's not happiness. What other word could it be? What other word? What have you got?
Overjoyed.
Overjoyed? She might be feeling very overjoyed actually that she's okay and they got out. And actually, she might also be overjoyed because they're now 10 miles away from Exeter in a farm, which makes it sound more countryside. So that threat of bombs, hopefully, has gone away. So she might be feeling overjoyed, one of those quite high emotions. You wouldn't think you would you? But actually she might be.
I think she might be feeling a bit like, no one's actually got hurt.
Yeah, how do you describe that feel? It's that feeling, isn't it? How do you describe that feeling?
Optimistic.
Optimistic, maybe looking forward to things. Why do you think she might be optimistic? What does it talk about at the end of that letter? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next on that letter?
She hopes you...
Mrs. Every says, will you please wire or write as soon as possible to let me know what train you would like me to catch? Also which day. Don't come down to fetch me because you couldn't sleep here at the farm. What does it sound like is going to happen next?
And she's going to be sent to a different place.
Well, who? Who do you think she's going to be sent to? Who do you think she's going to see again?
I think she's going to see...
Who's the letter to?
Mum and Dad.
Yeah, Mummy and Daddy. That's who she's written to. And actually at the bottom...
It says, hope you're...
Oh, well, see you soon. So actually she might be feeling overjoyed because she's getting to see her parents again. We don't know how long since she last saw her parents or why she's been taken away from them or evacuated.
She's probably feeling light-hearted.
Possibly light-hearted, yes, because like you say, she's relieved. Relieved is a good word, isn't it? She's relieved. She's not in danger anymore. They're all safe, and actually, kind of the silver lining is she's going to get to see mummy and daddy.
Maybe gleeful.
Maybe
Gleeful.
can't. Let me have a look. Which one it is? Show me. Oh, gleeful. Yeah, gleeful's quite a nice word, isn't it? Gleeful. Not like overly ecstatic, is it? But actually quite happy. Okay, so once you've picked some cards, I want you to pick 3 cards. So a card to show how she felt at the very beginning when the bombs were dropping. A card to show how she felt when it kind of calmed down and they went to the children's home. And then another card to tell me how she felt when they were at the farm and she was there writing for her mum and dad. Okay? Fabulous, off you go.